sound. Good morning, everybody. My name is Regan Murphy. I am a solution architect for OA Systems, and I'm here to talk to you this morning about extending CRM with a bit of .NET and a little bit of LINQ. First, before I get started, can I just have a quick look to see who here is a CRM developer and who is a .NET developer? So CRM developers? Okay. .NET developers? Okay. Just a warning, we're not going to get really heavy into .NET stuff. You guys know all of that, so we're just going to cover off how we can talk to the CRM from .NET. So I hope you're not expecting any fancy jQuery or any Flash stuff going on there. Okay, so I'm a solution architect for OA Systems. We've been doing CRM for about 12 years now. We've been working with a Pivotal CRM package, and then a few years ago we got into Microsoft CRM. And just this year, actually, the company won a partner award for CRM. So we're really quite keen on the product, and we're really pushing it hard. And we'd love to get everybody else keen on the product and pushing it hard too. There's a user group in Auckland, and a user group in Wellington, and a user group in Christchurch. I'm involved in the one in Auckland, and there's actually some people in the crowd here from the Wellington Christchurch ones. If you're keen, I'll show some links at the end of the slide and come along to the user groups. Okay, so the advanced developer extensions. First of all, what are they? This is what we're going to talk about, where we can get them, how we can use them in our code, just go through some of the basic operations. And lastly, we're just going to walk through building a simple portal in Visual Studio 2010 and connecting to CRM and doing a few operations. Okay, so what are they? The Advanced Developer Extensions are a new addition to the CRM SDK. They were developed by another company, and Microsoft has bought them and put them in from version 4.0.12. What they give us is they give us some single line connectivity to the CRM, whereas in the past it took a lot more lines of code. There's a code generation tool which gives us some classes, so we can use nice things like LINQ, and we don't have to use horrible things like dynamic entities. Yes, I just mentioned links. That's my next point there. There is also a portal toolkit that ships with the SDK, which gives you some sample code, and it gives you some guidance on how you should connect it to CRM. Where can you get them? Well, the SDK is available from download.microsoft.com. It's always the current version that's available there, and the current one right now is 4.0.12. There is also a customer portal accelerator. The customer portal accelerator is basically a collection of different portal add-ins which have been built using the advanced developer toolkit and the CRM SDK. They've got some bits and pieces for integrating e-service, event management, content management as well. And you get those from a Codeplex site. It is crmaccelerators.codeplex.com. Okay, so we'll jump into the main bit. First of all, we need to connect to our CRM. In the past, we used to use lots and lots of lines of code and messy ways to get there. With the new advanced developer extensions, we've got a single line connection string. It can be stored in the web config, and because it's stored in the web config, it means that it's not hard code in the application, so it's pretty easy to maintain and update. It can also be encrypted for when you're deploying it to web servers. The format of it's like an OLADB connection string, so for people that are used to OLADB connection strings, it makes it a lot easier to understand. And the other good thing is it supports all the deployment models. So you can use it for CRM online, for on-premise, and for hosted internet-facing deployments. What do they look like? This is a few examples here. You might not be able to read them all, but depending on the authentication you're using, they can be quite short or quite wordy. The Windows Live one is obviously takes the most work. But it's not that hard to integrate, really. There's one more, which is integrated authentication, and this one's recommended as a development-only option. Basically, it's the shortest one, so it's the easiest one to use as well. But you really shouldn't ship a working web portal using the integrated authentication web string, because it means that your web server and your app pools and everything have got to be running as a account that has access directly to everything in the CRM. Okay, so with the normal SDK, this is a sample how you would normally connect to it. It looks quite wordy. It's actually a lot worse than this. This is just one of the simple AD user options. If you're doing Windows Live, or if you're doing internet-facing deployments, the hosted options, there's probably about 3 more screens of stuff that you've got to do. With the new SDK, with the new advanced extensions, it's basically just a single line at the top there, plus a connection string that's hosted in your web config or your app config file. And yeah, so wherever you use it, just a single line to connect. So no more big blocks of code, no more not really understanding what's going on. It's nice and simple. Okay, so there are a few operations that are supported. Create, read, update, and delete. There are a few that are not, like merge or assign. But for a web portal, hopefully the create, read, update, delete are enough to start with. Creating a record, basically we're going to assign some fields, then we're going to call an add to entity, add to contact, add to account, and passing it the object that we just filled in, and then we're going to hit the save changes method. In code, it looks a bit like this. So we're declaring an anonymous object in the contact. We're calling it an XRM contact type. This has full IntelliSense off of all your fields, even your own custom ones. So filling out the contact is as easy as first name equals, last name equals, etc. And as I mentioned, the crm.add2contacts and then crm.savechanges. Nice and simple. Okay, reading a record. The new kit has a link to fetch XML or link to query expression abstraction. Basically, it means that you can use LINQ, which LINQ, in case you don't know, is a language integrated query. It gives you pretty much a SQL, transact SQL-like select statement for selecting records. So for people that are working in databases, it's a lot more easy to understand than the traditional CRM SDK methods of getting data out. It doesn't support everything. Some of the things that are supported are the joins, the wheres, the order bys. It also has a few string expressions, starts with, ends with, contains. Try and avoid using contains wherever possible. It's probably the slowest operation you could ever do against a CRM data set. If you need to do a wildcard search on anything, try and use starts with. It's probably a better solution if you can do that. Excuse me. There are a few other LINQ extensions supported. The skip, which is skip X records in the result set that comes back. Take, which is take the first X records that come back. Distinct, single, and first. There are other ones that I won't go into depth just here, but they're all listed in the SDK. As we saw before, of contact equals, it lets you select to a anonymous type, which makes it nice and easy to use it without having to use property bags and all the rest of the nasty stuff. And yeah, static or dynamic attributes, so you don't have to use dynamic attributes and code everything with property bags. You can use IntelliSense and the rest. Makes it a much nicer experience. Okay, so just having a look at a few comparisons of selecting data. First one we're looking at is a SQL query, nice and simple. Select star, shouldn't really select star, but we'll select star from contact where contact address equals, email address equals. Kind of couple of lines of code, not much. Let's have a look at that in fetch XML, which is the native CRM query language. Same thing, takes a page here just to write the query. And then you'll probably have another page of passing the XML result that comes back and sending it to the CRM service. CRM query expression, same deal. It's another page worth of stuff. Very hard to read and understand what this is actually doing if you're not a. In fact, even if you're a CRM developer, you don't really know what it's doing. It's very hard to read, full stop. Okay, so using LINQ, same sort of size as the SQL. It's almost like SQL, but it's kind of backwards. So CRM contacts is from contact in CRM contacts object, where email address equals select the contact. So that basically returns a list of contacts. In this case, it should only return one in the list, but that'll return a list of contacts that match that criteria. Okay, the LINQ supports a few other things. It supports joins and some operators. So we can select all the contacts in the system where the account starts. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so where the contact email address is like 10's dev local, and the account name starts with 10. So when you're looking at this versus a query expression or a fetch XML, this one here is about 8 lines, and the other ones you're probably looking at about 3 pages. So it definitely makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier. Updating a record. Once you've got your record, set a few properties, call the update object method when pass it the object that you've updated, and save changes. Save changes has to be called separately for all of these events. I don't know why. They should have probably just rolled it into the update object, but yeah, if you're doing it, just make sure you hit the save changes, otherwise you might lose all your changes along the way. Okay, so updating it, we've got the select at the start there, but CRM contact first name equals, last name equals. If you've got your own custom attributes that you've created, then they'll come up with the IntelliSense with the dot field name equals as well. And then it's just calling the update object method. Okay, deleting, much the same. Pass it the object. Pass the delete object the method and call save changes. So here we've fetched a contact and we just call the delete object method. Pretty straightforward. Okay, probably the messiest part of it is just getting started. So jumping ahead, this is just a recap of what we're looking at. So we with the advanced developer extensions, we connect. We create, read, update, and delete inside the CRM, and those are the basic sort of premises there. Okay, this is the messiest part of it, is you've got to run a little utility over your CRM, which will go out and it'll go through all of the entities, all of the attributes, and it'll create a data context, data transfer object class, which you can then insert in your project, and that's what gives you all of the nice IntelliSense, lets you use all your custom attributes and out-of-the-box attributes without having to use the property bags and the messy dynamic entities, etc. Yes, you do have to rerun it. If you do recustomize your solution, then re-roll it out. If you follow the rules, you shouldn't actually be updating that class manually. But of course, it's just a .cs file that you can add to your project, so if you want to mess around with it, you can update it manually. But if you did, make sure that you rerun it, then re-update it as well if you're going to mess around with it. Okay, so some of the features that this code tool supports, it gives you static typed entities, so you can, as I said, IntelliSense for all your custom attributes. You can access many-to-many relationships, which were quite complex using the traditional methods. If you use the display names option on your code generation, then you can also get enumeration types for pick list values, which makes pick list coding a little bit easier. In case nobody knows what pick lists are, if they're .NET developers, that's where you've got a little drop-down box, job title or country or what have you, and the options inside of that. The class and property names, you've got the option to have them as either the schema names inside the database, or you can have the display names that are used. So one example would be the case entity inside a CRM. It's actually called incident, I think, in the schema. So you could go either way and go schema names or display names. Most people would probably use schema names because they're just used to schema names and there's no spaces in them or anything else, so it's easier to work with. Some of the benefits of using the code generation and the advanced toolkit is it caches the metadata on your client, so you do get all that in IntelliSense. It does simplify your code, and yeah, you don't have to use the dynamic entities, but you still can if you really want to. Okay, so how do we use them? We got to reference a bunch of DLLs, the standard CRM SDK DLLs, some XRM DLLs, and then the system data services libraries from .NET. They're the ones that give you access to the data transfer objects and WCF classes, which are what are getting generated. We'll actually do this as part of a demo, and you can grab the slide deck afterwards if you want to, so you don't have to pay too close attention to these. But yeah, you generate your classes, you reference it in your web config. Looks like I've got to double up on slides there. This is what a command line to generate the classes looks like. It's pretty straightforward, and if you save it, you can just copy and paste it into a command window and run it each time. That's when you're running it, it goes through all of the entities, takes a little while, and it spits out a class file, and that's what you add into your project. Okay, so we're going to jump in and hopefully we're going to create a basic portal from sort of start to finish and hook into the CRM. As I mentioned before, I'm not going to do anything Flash with jQuery. I'm not going to put any Metro Windows Phone interfaces or anything on. It's going to be bare bones .NET portal. So I hope you weren't expecting anything really cool looking. Sleeping. Okay. So when we start with our web portal, we're going to come to our Visual Studio, File, New, Website. One of the things that I use in this is I use the ASP.NET membership profile provider, and one of the things I've found is if you don't start off with a website, then you can't access the profile custom fields that we want to use later. So if you go new project and then choose web application, wherever it is, then things are going to break later on. So don't do that. New website, and we'll come down, we'll give it a name. Oops. Okay, so that's going to go away and just create a basic website. It puts in a few pages. I'm just going to hit F5, run that up, tell it yes to allow the debugging. Okay, so no touching anything. Basically, we've got a little website. It's got a home. It's got an about button. If we scroll over to the right, it's got a login button. Let's just drop that slightly. At the moment, the login and the register won't work because the database I haven't created yet, but the shell of the portal application's there. So let's close that down. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do to make that work is I'm actually going to go and use the ASP tools to create a SQL membership database on my SQL server. So I'm going to open up the Visual Studio command prompt. I'm going to type in the ASP.NET reg SQL command, and that's going to start a little wizard. The wizard creates a SQL database, all the tables for users and passwords, and it has everything there. So configure SQL server, server name, that's my server name, database name, tens demo, next, finish. Okay, so that's gone in the background and it's created a SQL database. And if I have a look in here, Oh, there it is. So it's very small on the screen there. But it's created a database. Now I need to make the project reference that database. So I'm going to hop into the web config file and edit the... When you build it, by default it tries to use a SQL Express instance if you've got one available. I don't actually have a SQL Express on here, so it's already dropped in a connection string, but it's pointing at SQL Express, which I don't have. So I'm just going to put in my server name, dev. I can use dot, yeah. Integrated security I'm using in this case, and I'm going to take out the attached file name and just put in the initial catalog equals tens demo. Now, hopefully that's the right server name. Now, one other change I'm going to make down here is I'm going to go down to the profile, and I'm going to add another property in there so I can. What that'll do is it'll give me an ability to store an extra field in the ASP.NET membership database. What I want to do is store a CRM contact ID in there so we can refer to it later on. So I'm going to add properties, and I'm going to add contact ID. I'll call it the same name as CRM, and the type will be a system. Good. Oh yes. I'm not used to coding with my arms so far away from the keyboard. Okay. So now I'm just going to hit F5, and hopefully I've typed everything in right there. And if I go to the login and hit the register button here now, and stick in the username, and the password, super secret one, the create button. There we go, first demo crash. Did I? Oh, I did too. Thank you. Okay, so let's try that over again. Once again, it's a bit harder to see the whole screen when you're trying to pump up the resolution a little bit too. Okay, create user, so it's created a user, and we'll have put that in the database. So we'll just jump across to SQL, pop open a query, and I've got one that I prepared earlier. So this query here just goes into the ASP.NET users, membership and profile tables. And if I execute that, sorry, it's kind of small in the results there, but you'll see there's one that says username Regan in the database. And some property names, which is where our contact ID will get stored later on, and those are empty at the moment. Okay, so we've got a very basic web portal running in Visual Studio. Just lets us register and log in, but it doesn't do anything with CRM yet. So what we need to do to hook this into CRM is we need to go and reference all of the DLLs for the SDK. So I'm going to come to my website, add reference, browse to my SDK folder, which is in C SDK, in the bin directory and in the 64-bit in this case, and I'm going to grab my standard CRM SDK DLLs and hit OK. So it's going to load them all into the project. Next I need to grab the references to my XRM DLLs. So I'll start off at the C SDK folder, Microsoft XRM folder, bin, and there's the DLLs there. So we just grab all of those and hit OK. And the last one is the system data services libraries that we need in order to reference the WCF class that we create. So add reference .NET system.data data.services and system.data.services.client. Okay, so those are all the DLLs. Next, what we need to do is just add a small bit to our web.config to instantiate the classes or configure the classes. Rather than type it all out, I'm going to see if I can chop it out of here. Okay, so what we've got there is, first of all, there's a line that says we're going to add a new configuration section, and then we're going to add in some line that says this is the configuration section for the XRM client. We're going to give it a context name and an application name in that case as well. And the one other thing that we need to put in here is we need to drop in the connection string for connecting to CRM. So we'll come down to our connection strings and we'll go add name equals, in this case, CRM, because that's what we're referencing up above. And connection string equals, so we're going to have our authentication type equals integrated, and our server is going to be equal to the local server, the CRM address, which is dev s1:5555/ I think. Let's just check that. Connection string has gone. Dev s1, dev. Cool. A semicolon? Yeah, probably right. Okay. So the connection strings are there, the configuration sections are there, we've got the DLLs. Now we need to go and generate the classes and add the classes in. So back to our command prompt, I'll just navigate to the SDK directory, and the Microsoft XRM directory, go to the tools directory inside of that, and okay, so there's a CRM SVC util.exe in here, which is what we're going to be calling. Once again, instead of typing out that string, I'm just going to copy and paste it. What we're doing here is we're calling the CRM util app. We're giving it the connection string manually here. We're telling it that we want our file that comes out to be called just xrm.cs. We're telling it what namespace we want to give it and a data context prefix, all of which we'll be using. There are some other options here. You can actually limit this to only produce a class for a single entity. You can also tell it to use display names instead of schema names and a few other options. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to tell it to go and create it for everything. Okay, so that's starting to go. It's talking to the CRM, and now it's just going to churn through every entity, every attribute, and generate a big, nasty class file that we can drop into our project. And instead of waiting for that to finish, I'll go and steal one that I already have. So the class file will get generated. I'm just going to add a pro one in there, and first of all I'm just going to drop an app code folder into my project because I'm told that's the good thing to do. I don't know whether you need it or not, but I'm going to add an existing item, and I'm going to browse to my pre-cooked one, which is here. As you can see, it's a good 5 megs in size when it's got all the entities in it. So if you're doing a web portal and you only got a couple of entities that you're using, you might want to just create a few individual ones and make them a bit smaller perhaps. Okay, so let's drop that in. And that means we're pretty much ready to go and start using the SDK. So for the first thing that we'll do in actually talking to CRM is we will jump into the register page where we were registering before, and we'll just try and intercept the method that's called to register a user, and we'll collect a couple of bits of data out there, and we'll either create a user in CRM, or we'll find a user with a matching email address and pull its GUID out, or we'll throw an error. Now, I wanted to add a couple extra fields to this form. As you can see, when we start, it's just got username and email. So I'm just going to add a couple of extra text boxes in there, and to save time, I'm going to steal the code from that as well. So, where's our? Okay, so here's our start. So paste that in there. Basically, it's just a ASP label, ASP text box, and some validation that says it must be filled in. So if we have a look at our design page again, now there's a first name and a last name appearing in the list. To intercept the logic where it's creating the user, what we need to do is we come down here, select the control, hit the little lightning strike, look for our creating user method, and we'll just type in a name for that. We'll call it register user, and it's got creating user. Hit enter, and that's going to drop us into the code. Okay, so we're going to hit this point here when somebody hits the create user button. It's going to happen before the ASP.NET membership user is created. So we're going to grab the details, look up the user in CRM, create them if they're not there, and update them update the ASP membership database if they are. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to access the profile, which is where I want to store that contact ID. So, and this is the bit that doesn't work if you choose a ASP.NET web application rather than a website. Some things are a bit wordy when you're developing in C#. Okay, this profile common thing, the method's called create, but you actually use the create method if you want to read an existing thing as well. It's another weird thing that you encounter. But we're going to access the profile for the user that we're just creating. Username. Okay. Next, we're just going to set up a couple of references to the text boxes we just created. Okay, so that is in order to reference these text boxes, we can't just go text box control equals. We've got to go and find them in the container, which is a bit messy, but we get there. I'll do the same thing for the, same thing for the last name. Okay, so now that we've got those, we'll jump in and do the actual CRM connecting and reading and updating. So first of all, connecting to CRM. So, anonymous object var CRM equals. This is where we go new XRM data context, and pass it the connection string name that we defined in our web.config. So connecting is as easy as that now. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look for the user that we're creating, and we're going to just search on their email address. So we're going to do a LINQ query to get contacts with the email address matching. So var CRM contacts equals. Okay, where are we going? We want to go from the contact in CRM.contacts. So nice and tally sense there. Where email address, contact dot email address 1 equals the email address of the user that we're registering. Okay, and select contact. Okay, so that's going to bring us a contact or a list of contacts that match that email address. Next, what we want to do is we want to just put in a case statement, so if we get 0, 1, 0 or 1 or many back. So we'll put in a switch, CRM contacts dot count. Okay, so in the case that we get none back, what we want to do is we want to create a CRM contact in the CRM database because there's not one that matches. So we're going to pop in here. We're going to go var new contact equals new XRM dot XRM data context. Oops, that's not right. Yeah, it's just XRM.contact. Okay, and we're going to start assigning some fields to it. So first name equals text box that we've got, dot text. And that's a comma, not a semicolon there. Last name is the text box in the last name, dot text. And I do it every single time, I'm never going to learn. Email address 1 is going to be equal to the register user dot email. I can't even spell email right there either. Okay. Should be a capital E, yeah. Now I've hit the wrong button. Okay. Okay, so that's creating the contact object and setting the fields. Next, we've got to call the method to. Whoops. Yeah, I'm in a case statement there. I don't want to end the case statement yet. Oh, actually, no, we don't. We'll just ignore those errors now. We haven't finished typing our code. Sorry.
Break.
Yeah, we'll get to the break. We're getting a bit ahead there. Okay, so that sets the fields. Next, what we want to do is we want to call our XRM add to method. Whoops. XRM, it's the CRM is the object that we've called it. So add to contact. And we're going to pass it the new contact that we just created. And then we're going to call that save changes method to make sure that we commit that to the database. Okay, so that should have created the contact in CRM and then saved it to the database. Next, we're going to send the contacts GUID that just got created, and we're going to save that in our profile. So the profile that we defined up earlier was our profile common P, etc. So we're just going to go p.contactID equals new contact dot contact ID, and once again we need to do a save on the P as well, and at the end of our case statement we need our break. Okay, so that should do the case where we we create a new contact. For the case where we find one that already exists, we just want to store the contact's GUID ID that was returned in our membership profile. So in case of 1, we're just going to pop in and we're going to say, we know we've only got 1 back, so we're going to assume it's the right one, and we're just going to say p.contactID is equal to CRM contacts that we got back before, and we know there's only 1, so I'm not doing a lot of error checking or anything. I'm just going to call the single method to convert it from a list into just a single item. grab the contact ID out of that. Okay, and in the case, put a break in there. And yes, I do have to call p.save. Very good. Okay, then we break, and then the last case is going to be the default case, which is obviously more than one came back or something else I can't conceive of happened. And we're just going to call the cancel method on this because we don't want to save the user that we're creating and we don't want to add it into the database. And if we were really, really good, we'd actually stick in an error message and code it onto the form and everything as well. Tell the user that something's gone wrong. Okay, so hopefully, I should actually minimize that really. So hopefully we've got a statement there which goes through the things, and we'll be able to run this up and see what happens. So just put a breakpoint in there, F5 it to run. Okay, so we're going to create a new contact. Oops. First name, last name, username. Helps if I remember what it's called. Just going to use the same for the username and the email here. You can code that to do it automatically if you like. Password, I'm going to hit the create user, and hopefully we get dropped into our code. Okay, so first thing it's going to do is it's going to call that profile to get its profile back, or create it, reference the text boxes, connect to the CRM, which is nice and quick. Normally that takes a bit longer when using the SDK. Run the query to fetch the contacts that match, so that was nice and quick too. And we're going to jump into the case, and in this case, okay, so it did find no other contacts that match, so it's dropping the one to make a new contact. So it's just going to step through that. It's going to go to the add the contacts, then it's going to go save changes, and we'll just pop up a new screen, pop into CRM. Hopefully we'll see a new contact pop in there in a second. So F10 on that. I should actually be on that screen while it's running. Okay, and it's created a new contact, and it's returned a good for me, which I'm going to store in my profile. And just run that out. And it's logged me in. And if I have a look at CRM, just hit the refresh button here. Now I've got a new contact called Teams Demo, and it's got an email address in it. Thank God. Okay. So let's just close that down. That's a nice, easy example of reading and creating a contact. Obviously, you can update a lot more attributes and do a bit more with complex queries. The next thing I'm going to do is pop in and create a form to update a profile. So I'm just going to pop in here, going to add a new page. Going to be a web form. I'm just going to call this edit profile and tell it to select a master page. So we get the header and the footer, etc. And rather than type out all these fields, I'm going to go and copy these as well. So this is basically a bunch of ASP text boxes, much the same as what was in the other page, but without, that didn't work. Okay, so when we have a look at that, looks kind of similar to the other page, except this doesn't have the create user step or wizard, etc. in it. So what we want to do in this page is when a user lands on it, we want to go and fetch the user's contact record from CRM and then let them update some fields and update them back to the CRM. So let's just pop here and get into the click method of the update profile button. Okay. We're just in the code now. The first thing we need to do actually is we need to load the contact. How are we doing for time actually? What is the finishing time? 10, okay. Still got a little bit of time. Okay, so want to do first of all, we want to make sure that we're not doing this load on the postback. So when you hit that update method, if you don't do this, then all of your changes that you've just keyed in will just be gone. Connect to the CRM again. Okay, we're going to do another query to fetch the contact. Equals. Okay, so from CRM.contacts. This time we're going to go where contact ID is equal to the. Actually, I probably need to first of all get that profile back. Oh no, I can actually pull it directly from here. Okay, because I'm already logged in. So where the contact ID is equal to the GUID that was stored in the profile, and we're going to select the contact. And in this case, we should be just getting a single, so I'm just going to tell it to automatically just bring back a single one. Yes, very good. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to hopefully, I'm going to assume that I've got that contact back, so I'm just going to go and pop in the text boxes. So first name dot text equals CRM contact dot first name. Last name dot text is CRM contact. Last name and phone is equal to CRM contact dot, in this case, telephone 1, and okay, job title. Oh, thanks. And job title dot text as well is equal to the CRM contact dot job title. Okay, so hopefully that will, when I logged in, it'll bring back those fields and populate them on the form. Next thing we want to do is, if we update the fields and click the button, is we want to save them back. So I'm just going to copy and paste this code here instead of reusing it and all the rest. So now I've got an object to connect to my contact, and I'm just going to do the reverse of that. I'm just going to go CRM contact dot first name equals first name text box, and CRM contact dot last name equals last name dot text, and okay, next we need to call our CRM.update object and pass it that CRM contact object. And then lastly, our CRM.save changes. Okay. So hopefully that's all we need to do to load up some fields, change them, and then save them. So we'll just hit the go button. We'll log in. Hopefully that's the user I created before. Okay, so logged in. It's not showing a phone or a job title, so I'll go and stick one in. Hit our update profile button, and I didn't get any nasty errors thrown, so we'll have a look at the CRM, and hopefully that. Okay, so now we've got a business phone number updated and a job title updated. So pretty nice and quick and easy to hook in and do that. One last thing I'm going to show you in the coding side is a very, very quick one. We're just going to add a new page to the website, and we're going to call it products, and we're just going to drop a grid on and pull a list of products back from the CRM, and this one we're going to do with no code at all. So new page, products, ASP, hex, select that master. Okay, so I'm just going to jump to the design view on this one. I'm going to go to my toolbox. I'm going to grab a grid view control and drop that on the page. I'm going to hit the choose data source button, and I'm going to go new data source. I'm going to tick on the LINQ data source, hit OK, and scroll all the way down to my XRM data context master class, and go next. And it's got all of them listed here, so I'm just going to go down to products, and I'm not going to bring back everything. I'm just going to bring back, if I can find it, name, price, and I don't know, URL. There we go. And I'm just going to hit finish, and F5, and hopefully, there we go. So we just got a list of products straight out of the CRM into a data grid, and it took us only a few seconds. So hopefully it's been useful. It's pretty much just a quick run through of how quick and easy it is to hook into CRM and update some data, create some data. There's a few .NET guys there. I apologise if I've taught you all how to create stuff you already know there. I just really wanted to put a working end-to-end demo so that maybe the CRM developers could have a good idea of how to get from zero to somewhere in a few short steps as well. But what I really wanted to show was that just regular developers could pop in and build portals for .NET, from .NET and hook into the CRM data, and you don't have to leave CRM entirely to CRM developers, and the CRM developers can also throw something together quite quickly and then hand it off to the .NET guys to sort out afterwards. Let's just jump back to, if we can find it. Okay, so there's probably a whole lot of slides here, wrong keyboard. So we just jump through these demos. Okay, so I've just got some resources here. The advanced developer extensions, there's documentation online, so you can actually see sample code and all of the methods and some more explanations on what everything is and what's going on in the scenes a bit. The CRM Developer Center just listed there. SDK download, if you don't want to go searching for it, the big nasty link is there, and I'm pretty sure it stays static. The Customer Portal Accelerator I mentioned before, there's a link to that there. The Customer Portal has heaps and heaps of stuff, and it's all built on these advanced developer extensions. So if you do want to build your own portal, you can go and grab this, and you can either have a look at it and try and adapt it to what you do, or you can just start from scratch and cut bits out and plagiarize it wherever possible and build up something that you like yourself. The NZ CRM user groups, as I mentioned earlier, there's one in Auckland. We've had about 6 meetings so far. There's one in Wellington and there's one in Christchurch. They've both got the link there. Lots of CRM 2011 and good stuff coming along soon. If you're interested in CRM 2011, the code that I use today, at the moment it still works in 2011. Hopefully it'll still work in 2011 come launch. The launch is soon, so if you're interested in playing around with 2011, there's the URL to sign up for the beta. Yeah, there's a couple more sessions on at TechEd today which talk about CRM 2011 stuff and a bit more cooler probably stuff than this. So go along and see Chris speaking tomorrow if you can. Okay, now I've got a couple of CRM 4 books here and a mouse. So first question, how many lines of code does it take to connect to CRM? Okay, over here. There. And what is one way to read data from the CRM that is nowhere as nice as LINQ? Fetch, cool. And the last one is, what is the old product name of CRM 2011? I hear one over here. Cool. Okay, guys, thanks for coming in. Hopefully it's been useful. If you've got any questions, I'll be around after this, and I'll be around at the TechEd as well, so don't be afraid to pop up and say hello. Enjoy the rest of your TechEd. Haha, you know what?